Hello there and welcome back to the Agostino Zinga Show episode number 969. This is the Agostino Zinga Show episode number 969, reporting from you live and direct from an undisclosed location, somewhere in the depths of East London. How you doing? How you feeling? Great, amazing, good to hear. Great, amazing, good to hear. How am I? Trying to do the best that I can out of what I've been given, trying to grab what's not been given to me, trying and take what hasn't been taken from me, and trying to keep my head above water, just as usual. It's been a jam-packed day, loads of stuff to get into, got a random show I've got to run into later, so let's just jump right into it. I'm sure some of you guys are aware, I'm not the first to report this, but this Antonio Brown situation is kinda one of the most insane and wildest situations known to man. So as some of you may have heard, many months ago, Antonio Brown was involved in a bit of a skirmish live on stream during one of those Misfits events, right? I think it's Misfits, I forgot what the name is, but basically Aiden Ross, the live streamer, has a little boxing event that he has, which is a pretty good event. I'm not going to lie, it's a little bit DIY, it's a little bit underground, but essentially he has fighters, essentially boxers, essentially link up, do a fight, and most of them are influencers, content creators and stuff, and it's usually a pretty well run affair. They usually stream it exclusively on Kick, and he has other people come along to do color commentary like Sneeko and some other bits and pieces and stuff. And from what I've seen, again, from the clips that I've seen, it's a fairly well put together event. It seems like a good event for people to come down to, get some clout off of, network, shake some hands, kiss some cheeks and shit. It seems like a fairly chill event, not a lot of drama, just loads of fucking, opportunities to kind of get your name out there. Now, for some reason, Antonio Brown thought this would be the exact perfect place to go in, pop off some shots, right? To go and let off the blicky, to go and cock back the little dum dum dum. Now, the backstory to this is kind of insane from what I've learned online. The backstory to Antonio Brown getting involved in a scrap that resulted in him firing some shots is kind of insane. They're saying online, I don't know if this is true. This again, my brain is so fried with this sort of stuff because I just can't work out how people's anger works. But listen to the story. They're suggesting online that Antonio Brown was in Dubai, somewhere in the Middle East. I don't know if it was Dubai or Saudi Arabia, but he was somewhere in the Middle East with some friends. He was with this one guy who he was partying with. He brings back some whores back to this guy's house. The guy that he's staying with in his house, he's not really down for the freak off. So he decides he's going to go somewhere else. He's going to sleep. Something happens. He doesn't stay in his own house. He says, Antonio, you're more than welcome to stay here with the whores, have your fun, but I'm not going to stay. Antonio Brown stays there with the whores, they have their fun, and then the next day when the guy comes back to his crib, he finds that his jewelry is missing. Yes, his jewelry is missing. The guy's house that he lent to Antonio Brown to get his little freak off, he found his jewelry is missing. He didn't ask Antonio Brown, hey, where is my jewelry? Antonio Brown, I'm guessing in that kind of conversation, takes it as an offense that the guy even suggested or even would dare to ask him where his jewelry is because it makes him sound like a thief. But the guy's just asking, hey, you were the last person in my house, where's my jewelry? Antonio, I think in that discussion then suggests that either his friend or one of the girls or someone has the jewelry. He's going to give it back to him, he's going to get it back from him. He knows who's got it. The guy says, cool, no problem. I guess some time passes and they end up having a falling out and the jury doesn't go back to the guy. So they're now not on good terms, right? But just remember the genesis of the story. The genesis of the story is that Antonio Brown's friend lets him stay in his house to have a freak off. Stuff goes missing. Antonio Brown's friend's not happy about it. He asks Antonio Brown, hey, where's my jewelry? Antonio Brown says, I'm going to get it back for you. Never gives it back to him. Now, this then means a guy has to go and sue him because obviously he lost his jewelry. I'm guessing it's part of maybe the insurance. I don't know. But the guy decides to sue Antonio Brown and he wins. The guy wins, of course, because it's his jewelry. He's able to prove it. The guy stole it. Now he sued Antonio Brown. Of course, you'd imagine that the friendship's over. For some reason, I don't know why, but for some reason, Antonio Brown bumps into this guy in a party. No, he bumps into him, sorry, at the Aiden Ross boxing event. And he gets angry. Now, can you explain? Can you in your head figure out why somebody like Antonio Brown in that situation should be the aggressor. Why is he the aggressor? Shouldn't the other guy be the aggressor? But allegedly they're saying the other guy wasn't the aggressor. The other guy was just minding his business at the Aiden Ross event, having a good time watching the boxing. Antonio Brown's one that approached him on some rah shit. They got into a tussle. The guy runs off, and this is what makes it worse. This is why I think Antonio Brown's kind of FUCKED exclamation mark. According to what they're saying online, according to the videos, it appears like Antonio Brown is the aggressor. They get into a tussle. Antonio Brown gets the better of the guy. The guy runs away. Like the guy runs away. Like he doesn't want to fight anymore. He's like running away from Antonio Brown. Antonio Brown chases the guy down. Antonio Brown gets restrained by one of Aiden Ross's bouncers or security guards. Antonio Brown then grabs that security guard's gun and then starts chasing the guy again and starts shooting at him. I don't know about you, but that seems like overkill. And I'm just sat here thinking to myself, why in that situation is Antonio Brown the pissed off one? Like I can't work out people nowadays. It's really interesting. I'm going to get onto the HSTikkyTokky subject as well, but it's very interesting. I can't work out how people's brains work nowadays. I feel like everyone's brains kind of broken. Mine included. Don't get me wrong. I'm not exempt from this. I feel everyone's brains broken, but I look at it now. I'm like, why is AB the aggressor? Why is AB the angry one? Shouldn't his friend be the angry one? The one that jewelry were missing. Now, even if AB didn't take the jewelry, now that I'd imagine, right? If you let someone stay in your house and they invite some people to your house, but then those people steal something from your house, wouldn't you hold your friend accountable? Wouldn't your friend feel like they're responsible for that crib while they're there? Isn't that like common decency? Don't we all do that? If we're staying in someone's house, like, okay, cool, I'm going to make sure that I don't, make my friend feel away. I want to make sure that he's comfortable. I want to make sure that he knows that I'm looking after his place. His place is my place while I'm here. If anything goes fucked up, I'm responsible for it. If anything, even if the jewelry goes missing, you know what you do if you're like a real stand-up person? You just replace it. If you're a real stand-up person, you would replace it. Maybe if you're a real friend, you wouldn't want to take the money off your friend. It might fuck up your relationship forever, but you'd at least kind of like offer to replace it, offer to partially pay for it, offer to maybe, I don't know, look for it or do something. But for some reason, it kind of went. I don't really know what's going on, but allegedly that's what happened. It's a really sad situation because Antonio Brown was an incredibly talented football player. And he just threw it all away. He just decided, I think he just woke up one day and thought, I don't want to do this anymore. And I don't really mind his post-football career. I think it's been pretty fun to watch him content create, to watch him be on live streams, to watch him like do these really weird interviews, to watch him kind of dabble in music, to watch him hang out with Kanye. I'm all right with all that. But I think this sort of stuff is going too far, man. Like, it's like, come on, brother. Like, you're chasing somebody down with a gun. And then you're like, because he sued you for the jewelry that was stolen in his house. I don't understand it. I really don't get it. I really don't understand it. But there's a short little roundup video here, courtesy of ABC, that kind of speaks a little bit on it. Let's just quickly watch that, and then I'll come at you on the other side.
Former NFL star Antonio Brown arraigned today on charges of second-degree attempted murder, appearing virtually.
We've entered a not guilty plea, demanded trial by jury.
The charges stemming from this moment captured on video back in May. Authorities say Brown was armed with a gun and chased after a man he just fought with outside a celebrity boxing match and fired 2 shots. The alleged victim claims to have suffered a grazed wound to his neck. A day after the shooting, Brown claimed...
Jesus Christ. Do you know how insane? Like, just think about this. He is the one, like, he's being the aggressor in a situation where he has no right to be. You're the one that was responsible for that house while you were in it, and stuff went missing. That guy got upset. Return my stuff. I'm sure some words were exchanged, some adult words, right? Some spicy words. They're probably not on good terms anymore. But when you bump into each other, why are you the aggressor? Shouldn't you be the one when you see him in person? Oh my God, look, I know you don't want to be my friend. I know we're not cool anymore, but I just want to let you know you'd be so apologetic if you saw that person in real life. That's what normal people do, right? You'd be like, oh my God, I'm so sorry that happened. I know you don't want to be my friend anymore, but I just want to let you know that wasn't me. You know what I mean? You don't want anyone to know you're a thief. I just can't understand it, bro. Man literally jacked the security guard's gun and chased the guy down and fired 2 shots. Like, did he want to kill him? You want to kill him because his jewelry went missing? Jesus Christ.
self-defense, posting on social media, "Regarding the boxing event that happened last night, I was jumped by multiple individuals who tried to steal my jewelry and cause physical harm to me." Authorities say he left for Dubai shortly after the altercation.
By the way, that's not the move of a very innocent person, right? Getting involved in an altercation like that and then leaving to Dubai, that doesn't smell like... Don't get me wrong, he's got a lot of business in the Middle East. A person like him probably gets invited out there all the time. They love a fucking freak show. He's a wild boy. I'm sure he gets paid well to go out there and do appearances with his football. I'm sure there's a big community of fans out there in the Middle East who love football as well. Ask him to tell stories and just hang out and be around. I'm sure. But it doesn't seem like the move of a very innocent person if you leave your country and go to Dubai. It doesn't seem like it, does it?
He was at Dubai. We knew this because of his videos.
Brown posting this video on social media at a hotel in Dubai is part of a brand partnership with the crypto gambling platform. In this video showing a luxury car with what appears to be a Dubai license plate.
That is great.
After being extradited back to the States.
You have your ankle bracelet on?
I'm not gonna lie, that's a kind of hard. I like that jumpsuit. I'm not gonna lie, that Adidas jumpsuit is kind of hard. I'm not gonna lie, that Adidas looks like an aqua jumpsuit or some shit, but that Adidas jumpsuit is kind of hard.
He was released on bail after posting $25,000 last week. Over the weekend, Brown appearing on Angels and Demons podcast to talk about his mental health.
It's never easy. You know, life's not easy. And I feel like we grow through everything we go through.
But notably, not
He's got a good lawyer, innit? His lawyer told him, look, if you go on his podcast, you gotta plead, you gotta pull at the heartstrings. You gotta start talking about mental health. You gotta start talking about anxiety. You gotta start talking about crisis of confidence. You know, psychological issues, family issues. You gotta pull at the heartstrings. He's got a good lawyer. His lawyer told him, when you go to these pods, don't pop your shit. Don't be talking like you're 50 Cent. No, go on these fucking pods and make it known that you're hurt. You're confused. You're worried. You're scared for your life. Oh, this is fucking brilliant.
Discussing his recent charges. The former wide receiver was once considered one of the league's most successful late-round draft picks, dubbed himself Tony Toe Tap for plays like this.
Brady, end zone, caught by Brown!
Keeping both feet in bounds on a challenging sideline catch. Raking in several brand deals like this Pepsi ad.
Antonio, what have you got in mind? Bit of a throwback.
But overshadowing his professional accomplishments, a string of legal battles.
NFL star Antonio Brown, accused of sexually assaulting a woman who worked as his trainer.
In 2019, the New England Patriots releasing him from the team amid sexual assault and misconduct allegations that he denied. And in 2021, while playing for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Brown removing his uniform mid-game, walking off the field shirtless.
This might be one of the best, I'm not gonna lie, this might be one of the best ways to announce you're retired from the game ever in a million years. I swear to God, this might be one of the most iconic, I've retired, fuck this shit, I'm over it, I've ever seen in my entire life. It might be one of the greatest. Mid-game, while you're on the bench, you start taking off everything and you throw your shit into the crowd and just start doing star jumps and wave into the crowd as you run down to the fucking dressing room. This might be one of the greatest I'm out of here, fuck this shit I've ever seen in my life.
To talking to a coach. That move effectively ended his career. Brown never played professional football again. Brown later said in a statement he had left the field because he was forced to play on an injured ankle. Now awaiting trial on the attempted murder charges, he's on house arrest, wearing an ankle monitor. If convicted, he could face up to 30 years in prison.
I just want to, like, I know it's CTE, I get the CTE angle of it, but just imagine it's not though. You know, let's just, because the CTE angle is easy to understand, it's easy to kind of get your head around, no pun intended. But let's just imagine for a moment, this is nothing to do with CTE, and he just woke up one day and was like, you know what, I'm kind of over this. I want to just mix stuff up. I'm fascinated by that. Because I'm such a PUSSY, I guess I'm ultra fascinated by people who just wake up one day and decide, I'm going to fuck my life up. You know? I think that's really interesting. People that just wake up one day and decide, you know what? I've had enough of this like life that I've got that's somewhat grey. I've got a nice little, you know, career going for myself. I make good money. I'm famous. I work in a field that I'm passionate about. I've been playing football since I'm a kid. I get a lot from this. The fans love me. I just wanna sit down with that person and kind of, you know, pick their brains a little bit and find out what goes on in your head. Someone wakes up one day and think, you know what, I'm just gonna go around and just run people over. Raggo, I've had it. I'm pissed off. And not because of any sort of like psychotic break, because that's whatever, but just people that are of sound mind. Maybe you can say the action itself isn't being of sound mind, right? Taking the actual strap off of a security guard. But I would love to know, what is it about people that do that? Especially someone in his situation, where clearly he's the one in the wrong. If you believe the story to be true, the background of the whole shooting, of that guy's jewelry going missing in his house, and him suing Antonio Brown, them having a falling out, it just makes no sense to me why in that situation where they bump into each other again, why Antonio Brown would be the aggressor. I get if they bumped into each other and they both had exchange of words, but from what I've been able to read and surmise online, the guy that he bumped into wasn't on it. Like, he wasn't on any passer. He didn't want to fight. He didn't want to argue. He wanted to like go away. And Antonio Brown came to him on some like, yeah, what you saying, N-word? What you saying, man? You want? I mean, he came to him on some like bully boy thing. And then the scuffle happened, and then, you know, whatever happened, we saw happen on the video. I just would love to know how that brain works, where you're like, oh, I'm the victim here. I'm the one that got done wrong. It's like, no, you're the one that did him wrong. I mean, his jewelry got stolen. Who knows? Antonio Brown could have stolen it allegedly. You never fucking know. I just would love to know what happens, but so far the situation is the situation. He's out on bail now, if I'm not mistaken. He's probably most likely gonna get a long fucking time in prison. They're saying he might get 30 years. This is an article courtesy of the Daily Mail. It says Antonio Brown's officially pleaded not guilty to a second-degree charge of attempted murder, after appearing in court. The troubled NFL star is facing up to 30 years in prison. By the way, I would imagine, I'm not too sure about this, but I would imagine most likely his chances of going in the NFL Hall of Fame are done, right? I'm not too sure how, because I don't know how it works in America. I know in the UK we're a bit weird with that sort of stuff. In the UK we have this weird thing. I'm sure in America it's the same, where if you're really talented at your particular sport, people do turn a blind eye to a lot of the stuff that you do, even if it's criminal, even if you get convicted. Like, there's plenty of footballers in the UK who have gone to prison for like sexual stuff, like harassment, the R word, and they've got released, and a team has signed them. You know, teams don't give a fuck. They're like, yeah, you served your time, you done your time, let's move on. Teams are weird. Football teams and sports teams are in general are bizarre. They don't really have a moral compass. But I wonder if in America it's the same thing. I wonder if it's the same thing, where like they're like, you know what, he's a great football player, you know, whatever, NFL Hall of Fame, because at one point he was regarded as one of the best, right? But I don't know if that hurts his chances now, because an attempted murder charge is like, that's serious. And from what we've seen online, from what I've seen online, it looks like he's kind of guilty. You know, it looked like he did wrong there. You know, he did completely wrong. The way they tried to spin it and tried to make it seem as, oh, because that's the thing we first heard when it first happened. The story was that he got rushed, right? That was the story. And I'm not too sure, but I'm pretty sure from what I've read online about American gun laws, you're not, if you chase after somebody who's running away from you with a gun and you fire it, you're in a lot of trouble. You know, I think the self-defense or stand your ground laws don't work that way. You can't just run after somebody, you know, that's running away from you with a gun and start firing and you not be the aggressor and you not be in trouble. So even if he did get rushed, by 10 people, 20 people, once they all run away and disperse, you can't then go run to a security guard, take his gun, and then run after the group of people and think that's self-defense. That isn't, you know, that isn't self-defense. Now, if you pull out your gun while they're jumping you and you fire off the shots, that's one thing, right? You pull off your gun while they're okay, that's one thing. But chasing after them is like nuts. Anyways, continued. The troubled NFL star is facing 30 years in prison after being accused of firing 2 shots at another man during the melee outside a Miami boxing event in May. After his attorney entered a plea last week and demanded a trial by jury, Brown and his attorney, Mark Eaglerish, appeared separately via Zoom to submit a not guilty plea at formal arrangement early Monday. I wonder if would you be given a plea on it in an issue? I don't think you would be, right? There's no way you could get a plea deal. I wonder if there was ever a situation where they did give him a plea deal. The judge ended an arrangement by settling the next status hearing at December 22nd. At the hearing last Wednesday, Brown, who wore a red jumpsuit, was granted a $25,000 bond after the judge denied the state's motion to keep him behind bars before his trial. He was instead put under level 3 house arrest, which allows him to work and means he's not subject to a curfew. The 37-year-old must wear an electronic monitor that tracks his movements and faces additional charges if he cuts it off. So he's obviously he can't leave the country, but he's not under curfew, but he's under house arrest. So it's not all bad, but you know, fucking hell. There's his mugshot, an absolute insane mugshot, by the way. He looks fucking wired. He looks fucking wired. I understand the state's concern. He says it's going to flee, says judge. Brown must seek permission from the court if he wants to travel. Thank the judge. Oh shit, so he can still travel. He has to ask permission. That's a pretty lenient fucking. He must have a good lawyer, isn't it? He's out on bail for a gun charge, but he can still travel if he asks permission. Yo, this lawyer did him good, isn't it? Fucking hell, W lawyer. W fucking lawyer. How the fuck did he manage that? On attempted murder charge, he can still technically travel outside the country if he asks permission. And that looks like the same lawyer that remember the lawyer that went viral where the defendant was some guy she went to school with and he started like crying. I think she knew him from primary school. Yeah, I think that's something like this. That might be her. Judge Mindy S. Glazer. I think that's the same lady. He had been placed in an isolated cell for his own protection at the Turner Guilford Correctional Electronic Center in Miami. Last Monday, Ilgrish entered a not guilty plea. Brown, who's won the Super Bowl during his time with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, was taken into U.S. Marshals custody after arriving from Dubai, where he had been since the shooting. Authorities in Florida issued. I guess that was a smart move going to Dubai, though. You know, he went to Dubai, made a lot of money, stacked it all up, and then obviously came back once it was time to face the music. Not a bad idea. According to a statement from English last week, Brown legally acting in self-defense during the melee. I took this case because I passionately believe in Brown's defense. The actions he was forced to take were solely in defense and against the alleged victim's violent behavior. Brown was attacked that night and acted within his legal right to protect himself from an individual who previously committed criminal acts against him. I wonder what that's about. I've not heard that story. They're alleging that the guy that he attacked did criminal things against him in the past. It's a privilege to represent him, and I'm determined to ensure that justice is served. I'm curious to know how the details run out. Like I said, what I told you before in the beginning of the pod, that's the version of events that allegedly went down. So I'm curious to know, once a trial happens, maybe there's more details that we don't know about. That's going to give us a better idea of it. But the video itself doesn't look good for Antonio. The video doesn't look good because he's involved in the skirmish. The guys all run away. He then gets restrained by a security guard. In that restrained, he then decides to pull the guy's gun and then runs after the guys again. You know, that doesn't seem like self-defense to me. I'm not gonna lie, because the skirmish is kind of over. But hey, what do I know? In a video from the fight night, organized by online influencer Aiden Ross at Miami's Brand Risk Warehouse, Brown could be seen brawling with a group of men. He claimed that they were attempting to steal my jewelry and cause me physical harm. Brown later appeared to pull out a gun before shots were fired. He did not fight his extradition from New Jersey to Florida when given opportunity last week. On Tuesday morning, a viral video recorded by Fox Sports Radio Andy Slater showed the handcuffed Super Bowl winner walking down a set of jetway stairs. There he is with his lawyer. Brown first claimed his innocence after the shooting back in May, insisting he was defending himself, but Brown's alleged target told the Daily Mail that the NFL star was the instigator. This is the guy. So Zul Kwanajan Nantambu, Mr. Nantambu, let's call him Mr. Nantambu, claimed Brown shot at him, possibly in response to a legal battle between the two in federal bankruptcy court. As seen in the court files obtained by the Daily Mail, Mr. Nantambu claimed during a 2022 encounter with Brown in Dubai that the Super Bowl winner stole a valuable pendant that he had designed and produced. Mr. Nantambu further said Brown lied to the police in the United Arab Emirates, accusing him of theft and resulting in Nantambu's brief imprisonment. What? Look at this twist in the story. So AB lied and told the Dubai police that he stole his jewelry. It was the other way around. Nantambu sued Brown in Florida in 2022 and ultimately won $968,000 verdict that was later vacated in 2024 before the case was dismissed. However, Nantambu has since pursued a partial reduced judgment of $123 $123,000, sorry, in the federal bankruptcy court as Brown continued to deny the allegations of theft as seen in the filings. So I guess it's a bit of a he said, she said about what caused the beef in the beginning, but I'm just curious to see what happens in the end. You know, what happens in the end. I'm just looking at these prices of this food car. American food prices are kind of insane, isn't it? What's that? A cup? What cups of what? Conch. What the fuck is conch? What the fuck is a cups of conch? What the hell is conch? I'm just seeing this on this food truck fucking site menu. What is conch? Cups of conch. Is that food? No, it doesn't say. It doesn't say what it is on here. I don't know what fucking conch is. Is that what it is? Is that it? Conch fritters? Is that it? What's conch? Conch fritters are Bahamian specialty. They make great shellfish appetizers. Okay, cool. So it's something like this. It's either this or that. Conch in a cup. It looks like some sort of seafood or vegetarian mix or something. I don't know. Okay. Bahamian conch salad. Interesting. And then look at the drinks as well. A side of fries is $5. Kool-Aid is $5 and water is $2. Why is a Kool-Aid the same price as fries? Interesting. But yeah, big up AB. Free AB, I guess, to some degree. Free AB to some degree. But it's not looking good for the old guy. It's not looking good for him, mate. It's not fucking looking good. I'll tell you that. It's not fucking looking good. One person it is looking good for is TikTok star HSTikkyTokky. You know, I've been a big fan of this guy. He's a bit crazy. He's a bit all over the place. But he got handed a suspended prison sentence. So he kind of got off it, to be honest. It's still a bit techie for him because he's I'm assuming he's out on probation in some degree. It's not, we don't really call it probation here in the UK, a suspended sentence. So if he does anything wrong within a suspended sentence term, he will then obviously go back into prison, maybe have to face, you know, whatever time he would have got if he would have been found guilty and stay in prison. But overall, all things considered, it's a fairly decent outcome. I guess the only issue he has now is that accusation in Spain, because I think this is relating to the car crash that he got into with General G in that McLaren that he crashed and then ran off. I still don't understand why he ran off. I still don't get it. Like, I don't understand the logic of like crashing a car like that in that way, where if I'm not mistaken, he didn't hit anybody. He just crashed it into a pole because he couldn't really control the power of the car and then ran away and left his friend on the side of the road. Doesn't really make any sense, because I don't think he would have got any time anyway. He probably would have got his license revoked, but he wouldn't have been in prison for it. So I don't know why he didn't just, like, you know, report it to the police and just take what came to him. I don't know why he made it into like this long thing where he was technically on the run but not on the run. It seems a bit unnecessary, really. He could have done with this ages ago. But regardless, the thing that he has a problem with, I think his main issue is going to be this suggestion or this accusation out there that he glassed somebody in a club in Marbella. That's a real problem, because I think they're trying to say that's attempted murder or something, which it probably wasn't if you think about it, right? Judged by its content, it's probably one of those things that he always gets into, which is some sort of argument in a club over him, you know, acting a certain way, or maybe somebody else acting a certain way towards him. They get into some sort of scuffle, and you know how it is in clubs. People just pick up bottles, but I don't necessarily think if people pick up bottles to smash on your head in order to kill you. I think it's just to kind of, you know, cut you up or, you know, make you step back or something. I don't know. But I guess if you're using a bottle to hit somebody, you know, I guess in law terms, it is a form of assault. So it's probably going to be viewed as maybe, especially if you hit somebody in the neck on the, you know what I mean? It could be seen as something that you're trying to do something crazy. So he's gonna, that case seems a bit mad. I'm not sure how he's going to get off on that one. The car thing I understand, but I'm not sure how he's going to get off on that glass one. That seems like the really trouble one he's in. But let's read the article anyway. It says TikTok influencer HSTikkyTokky has been sentenced for clashing a McLaren supercar and then spending nearly a year on the run from police. And again, I think maybe it's because the prisons are full, because it's kind of insane that you go on the run. Because I think in years gone by, if you're on a run for a year, the judge might just send you in prison just for the sake of like, hey, you need to be taught a lesson for not, you know, abiding by the rules or coming back or whatever. But I guess because the prisons are full and the offense isn't that crazy, they're like, hey, suspend the sentence. The 24-year-old, whose name is Harrison Sullivan, pleaded guilty to dangerous driving and driving without insurance. The amount of people out there, I wonder how many people out there on the roads right now are driving A, without a license, and B, without insurance. I bet it's quite common. for people to be out on the roads, just generally. No insurance, no license, just raw, you know what I mean? Just risking it all, rolling the dice, fuck it. Sullivan had been, and it's even, to me, it's even more insane driving a car like that with no insurance. You know, a supercar. You'd think you'd be really scared because those are bait, innit? They're like, you know, I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm just conscious of driving while black. But I just assume if I drove a Ferrari around ends, I'm definitely gonna get pulled over. You know, that's what I think anyway. Maybe people are different, but I just think to myself, if I ever had a Ferrari and I drew it around my ends, I'm definitely getting pulled over the minute I fucking pull out. You know, so I'd want to have all my things in order: license, insurance, tax, everything. MOT, the whole shebang. But I guess some people are different. Sullivan had been wanted by Surrey police in connection with a crash in Virginia Water in March last year. He failed to attend court in November and later posted on social media videos from Qatar, Dubai, Thailand, Spain, but was arrested in October. He went on a world tour, innit? He went on a fucking world tour. At the State Magistrates Court, Sullivan, who's given a 12-month prison sentence, suspended for 2 years, disqualified for driving for 2 years in order to undertake 300 hours of unpaid community work. That's a lot, bro. That's a pretty... For someone like fucking HSTikkyTokky, who doesn't seem to be able to get out of his own way, and always seem to be in the center of trouble, it's going to be a hard one, not going to lie, because a lot of his content that I enjoy, it kind of, the reason why I enjoy it is because it's a little bit risky. He's, you know what I mean, he pushes the envelope, he's always pushing the line, he's always been a little bit, so I wonder how he's going to do it. I wonder what he's going to do, because this is essentially 2 years of like not getting in any scuffles. He's going to have to not get in a scuffle for 2 years in the club. He's going to have to not get in any sort of scuffle on the road. He's going to have to not pick, I mean, he's going to have to get in no conflicts, no altercations for 2 years. I'm not sure that's possible, you know, but let's see. He also sentenced to a 3-month curfew in order to be electronically monitored, complete with an extended driving test after 2 years, undertake for, what the fuck? It's a lot, in it. 3-month curfew, order to be electronically monitored, complete an extended driving test. So I guess once a 2-year ban is over, he has to take an extended driving test, because I guess, you know, he crashed that McLaren partly because he probably couldn't drive properly. I guess that's what they're trying to get to or get at. Or he couldn't handle the car, whatever. After 2 years, undertake 30 days of rehab. Is that rehab from drugs and alcohol and shit? I don't know what that's for, but yeah, that's crazy. The judge described Sullivan's actions as deliberate decision to ignore the rules of the road. However, she added that he would not hand out a harsher sentence in order to set an example for a large social media following. What? How does that make any sense? His actions were deliberate and to ignore the rules of the road, but she added she would not hand out a harsher sentence in order to set an example to his social media following. So she didn't want to give him a harsher sentence to allow him to then, that makes no sense at all. Wouldn't it be the opposite way? If you want to send a message to his social media following not to copy what he does, wouldn't you want to give him a harsher sentence? So you make everyone wake up and realize, oh shit, you shouldn't be driving without insurance. Oh shit, you shouldn't crash a McLaren and run away to another country and ignore your fucking warrant. I don't know. It seems like a weird thing she said there. But anyway, in a letter to the court, Sullivan said he was ashamed of his actions. I understand that if I'm acting in a dangerous way, this would influence others to do the same. Spreading a positive message and helping people was less fortunate than myself. That's what makes me the happiest. That's a good little twist there. I like what he did there. Sullivan was driving a purple McLaren at more than 71 miles per hour in a single carriage A30, which has a 40 miles per hour speed limit, when he crashed with another vehicle. Oh, he did crash with another vehicle. He didn't just crash into a pole. Okay, my bad. I always assumed he didn't hit another vehicle. That's, again, that's a pretty, you got off pretty well, isn't it? Man went on a run for a year and still came back to the country and didn't really have to face extended prison term. Not bad, not bad. Obviously, he was inside while his pending case was going on, because obviously he's a flight risk, but still, all in all, it worked out pretty good. He was amassed more than 1 million followers across all social media platforms. His content often shows lavish lifestyles. Witnesses to the crash said Sullivan was in a supercar going extremely fast, with one stating that he was traveling at least 100 miles per hour or more. I don't know, man. Maybe it's just because I'm a PUSSY. Number one, from the times I've driven, you know, again, sometimes or more often than not illegally, driving is kind of scary, you know. Like, I'm not gonna lie, driving isn't like, especially if you haven't got a license, driving is kind of scary. You're very conscious that you don't have the right documents and you don't want to fuck up and get yourself in trouble, fuck up somebody else's life. I mean, you're just very conscious of all that shit. But you also, you know, you're really very aware of not going too fast, you know. You go fast and where it kind of permits. But I would imagine if I was driving without insurance in a supercar, I'd be even more cautious, you know, especially with the like, I don't know, they're just different. Even if it's automatic transmission and they've got power steering and all this shit, it's still a supercar. You have to kind of handle them in a different type of way. And I don't really, again, maybe it's just risk takers and people that can roll the dice who have way more courage than I do, but rolling the dice and doing this just seems a bit excessive to me. But hey, what do I know? Sullivan of Hatton near Brentford in Essex, was extradited from Spain to the UK after being arrested for unrelated matters. A fresh hearing will take place in January next year to decide how much Sullivan must pay to Surrey Police and the Crown Prosecution for the additional cost involved in pursuing him aboard. The prosecution has applied for $18,000 to be paid to Surrey Police for a chartered jet to bring him back to UK. Sullivan is set to appear in Louis Theroux's documentary on Netflix exploring the impact of online misogyny on young boys. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that one. That Louis Theroux documentary is going to be great. I saw some behind the scenes stuff when Louis Theroux was actually interviewing him for the documentary on HSTikkyTokky's live stream. It was fucking phenomenal. So I can't wait to see what the full thing actually ends up looking like. It probably won't pay him in the best light, but it'll still be hella entertaining. But he's out, he's free. He's out and he's free. If you want proof, there's the proof right there. He posted a picture. Yo, fresh home. Are you mad? HMP 10 was an experience. So there he is in a grey tracksuit standing outside of a prison. Now, I guess, I don't know, man. I think allegedly he went to a private school. I think he lived in Argentina for a bit. That's why he can speak Spanish and shit. He seems like a good kid, even though he doesn't have a, you know, I don't think he has his dad's around and shit. He has his mom. He seems like he had his grandparents. I don't know, man. I just wouldn't be, I'm a fan of his, but I wouldn't be too proud or too boastful about busting prison and being out and wearing a grey tracksuit when you come from the background he comes from, you know? This sort of lifestyle should be, you know, reserved for people that have grown up in harsher situations who have no other option but to live a life of crime, but to, you know, to do other things to try and get by and shit. When you've kind of been given all the advantages, you've been given head starts, you've been given opportunities and shit, you're a social media guy, you're a big influence, I don't know, you just gotta, I don't know, maybe move a bit differently. I don't know. I wouldn't necessarily be the proudest, you know, taking a picture of myself outside the prison with a grey tracksuit, you know, because it's like, it's not like he's getting arrested for some freedom fire thing, you know. It's not like he's, you know what I mean, he got arrested and put in prison for doing something kind of reckless, kind of unnecessary. Again, at the time too, I think he could have just dealt with it easily at the time and just kind of nipped in the bud and just, you know, reported it to police. I don't really get why he went on a run for a year, really, to be honest. It doesn't really make any sense. It's like a whole waste of time. But I guess maybe it's for the bit. That's what a lot of people do nowadays, because I'm trying to make sense of stuff that's senseless. Maybe what the whole point of all this stuff is, it's just for the bit. It's for the storyline, you know? You just want to add another fucking chapter to your book. You want to add another fucking, do you know what I mean? Another fucking jot on your little storyline, you know, of your life. You want to keep it exciting. You want to keep the stuff going. There's only so much IRL desktop streaming someone can do. You have to kind of maybe force the fucking storylines. You're seeing a lot with Jack Doherty, right? Look at that Jack Doherty kid. He got arrested on the streets, I think in Miami one time the other day, for just being a dickhead, really, if I'm not mistaken. I think he was standing in the middle of the street, live streaming. The police was told him to get off the street. He took too long. People said, "Come here, I'm arresting you, you fucking dickhead." They arrested him. They then searched his pockets and found drugs and shit, Adderall that he always takes, and I guess, you know, that's not allowed. And then he got taken to jail for a bit. He posted bail straight away, I think the next day, but still he went to prison. And I think when he made a whole bit of content out of going to prison, out of going to jail for that short bit of time. He printed t-shirts of his mugshot, first day out, all this. It's just like, bruh, like, I don't know. I guess this is part of the content world we live in at the moment, just creating fake narratives and storylines for yourself. It is what it is. And then to make issues even weirder, I don't know where this come from, but allegedly, according to the comments, HSTikkyTokky was allegedly in the Tottenham Academy or something. He could have been a football player. So on top of being pretty decent at fighting, right, he seems to have decent hands. He seems to know what he's doing when it comes to the old scuffle thing. It seems like he's also fairly proficient when it comes to playing football. Now, this is not too uncommon, to be fair to him, in the UK, especially. I'm sure it's the same in America. Most people in the UK generally of a certain age, or no, just generally, most guys, unless they're a weirdo, unless you're Central C, you know, which is very bizarre, most guys in the UK can play football to a very good degree because the levels here are super high. Everyone's trying to make it in football. Most people don't make it. So even if you're like a Sunday league level player, you're probably quite decent compared to other people around the world, let's say. So this is not too uncommon, but allegedly he was a former academy player or something. So it's like, again, makes it even weirder. Like, you know what I mean, you got all these talents, all of these skills, and you just out here crashing McLarens for storylines.
Driving sides, good touch.
Oh my word. Things you can't teach. I ain't played football in 7 years. I'm bending it like Beckham. I'm cutting in like Jamal.
And
Insane left foot, to be fair. It's an insane left foot. Don't get me wrong. Most guys that have left foots are kind of weirdly techie, have weird techers on them anyway. It's just one of those things. You could meet a really fat guy that has a left foot, and the way they just ping it's just a different level. But this is kind of wild, the way he's just smacking these into the corner. Top corner, by the way. He's just bending these things top corner. It's just fucking insane.
right inside, good touch.
Outside the box.
What a strike, touch. Wow, strike. Oh!
What's that? First try.
That's actually kind of insane, isn't it? But you know what's really interesting as well? You know, people say he looks like Mason Greenwood. He kind of strikes the ball like him as well. It's a very strange technique. I think one of the ones is the second one, where he kind of grabs the back of his bum. He's got a very interesting technique when it comes to striking. This one here, you know? Like, you know, it's kind of very Mason Greenwoodish when it comes to the way he strikes the ball. But yeah, interesting regardless. HSTikkyTokky is back in the sector. HSTikkyTokky is back in the sector. Continuing on. Big up Jasleen. Big up blood clot Jasleen. I don't know, man. I still can't get my head around what's going on with this young lady. I don't really know what's actually happening and what the deal is. This is her response to all the backlash against, you know who she is. Akaash Singh's wife's gone viral for being very annoying, essentially, and embarrassing Akaash on social media. And she decided to post a response to all the people that have been getting at her, especially the men and stuff, I guess, online. And I just can't work her out, man. I really can't work her out. I'm not sure if this is a bit. I'm not too sure if she's playing up for the cameras. I'm not too sure if she's actually like this in real life. I don't really know. Or I don't know if she's doing that thing that people do nowadays, where like they purposely misunderstand why people are upset with them, and they just it's like Bill Burr did it recently, right? Bill Burr went to do that comedy, comedy fucking festival in Saudi Arabia. Everybody obviously called him out for what he did, and essentially calling it, you know, comedy whitewashing, and called out especially Bill Burr because he's had a lot of strong opinions when it comes to other people and what they do, and being very anti, you know, I guess billionaire, anti-corruption, whatever. He's been, you know, he's been very vocal politic wise. So people were kind of surprised that Bill Burr would take that gig. And then Bill Burr, when he kind of met with that kind of, you know, displeasure from his fans, he decided to label all these fans, or he decided to label people who didn't agree with the fact that he went and performed at the Riyadh Comedy Festival as bots. He called everybody that disagreed with him as bots, as basically being paid agitators or something. He basically said there's no way anybody could have a genuine concern or could genuinely be not a fan of what he did. And you've read it all off as that. That's a common thing. It's not just a Bill Burr thing. It's common. You see online with people, they don't really have an ability to maybe internalize not the right way. They don't have an ability, or they refuse to acknowledge or to even understand why somebody wouldn't be a fan of what they said, did, or whatever else it may be. So they purposely try and categorize you as a hater, as a troll, as a bot or something. And I wonder if she's doing the same thing this Jasleen girl. I wonder if she's doing the same thing where she's purposely misunderstanding that people are criticizing her of what she's saying. And I think from what I've been hearing online, most of the criticism has been, hey, you're embarrassing your husband. Most of it has been that. Like, I don't really think people have that much of a problem with her maybe being sexually active before they got in a relationship, and the fact that, you know, Akaash maybe believed that she was a virgin, or maybe she's giving up the signs that she wasn't. I don't think people have that much of an issue with that. I think most people just have an issue with the fact that she's, like, in a way emasculating her husband online. You know, it kind of looks a bit mad. You know, it's sort of like if you were with your friend, and, you know, if you're out with your friend and his wife, and she just started, you know, ripping into him, you would be a little bit, you know, you want to move away. I mean, you'd be like, oh, it's a bit, maybe feel uncomfortable, it's a bit weird, a bit strange. I think that's what most people's concern has been, or most people's pushback has been. But Akaash Singh's wife doesn't really seem to understand that, and her response kind of tells you that as well. She doesn't really get why people are upset with her, which, you know, is her prerogative, I guess.
Really quick, because obviously my name keeps getting brought up by either women or men. Lately it's these red pill guys, because I said my money, or what did I say? His money is our money and my money is my money, which is a common saying, whatever. I'm not even gonna elaborate because I don't fucking care to explain myself to them. But what I will say is, if you're not gonna be a man for fucking women, like if you're gonna say, oh, women should do this for us and we're the prize and blah, 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 at least be a man for yourselves. And what I mean by that is, so I just watched Don't Worry, Darling, finally on Netflix. It's like that movie from 2 or 3 years ago that everyone was talking about. Spoiler alert. But basically these men live in this like virtual reality simulation where everything is perfect. They go to work, their wives clean on them, wait for them, you know, they're like, the wives are basically dependent on their men, like 50s aesthetic, but like the dark side. At the end, you find out that these women never consented to be in this like virtual reality thing. And like when the women start glitching is when the memories of their real life start coming back. And there's this one scene where Chris Pine, the person who orchestrates this whole like utopic town or whatever, he tells Harry Styles to dance for him. And Harry Styles dances for him like a little monkey. That's what I feel like you guys are doing. Whether it's Andrew Tate or these fucking red pill podcast guys, like when they tell you something, when they ask you to jump, you say how high. You're still not a man either way. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, you're still a little bitch beta boy doing whatever these fucking men tell you. Why are you mad at us? Why are you mad if me and my husband are cool with each other, if we both make jokes at each other's expense? The difference is my husband will go on stage and say whatever the fuck he wants about me. No one has anything to say. It's like, oh my God, it's so funny, it's so relatable. But then I come on TikTok and I make jokes, and now you have a fucking problem?
That's a good point.
Because I don't have a mic in my hand?
That's a good point.
Like, make it make sense. I'm not here for the fucking misogyny. One thing that I will say, being canceled by this, like, people doesn't affect me as much because I genuinely don't respect them. I'm just like, okay, like, talk about me all you want, drive traffic to my page. Our YouTube video, our podcast episode that me and Nahal did got 37,000 views, which for us is really fucking high because we're just starting out. So I'm like, okay, keep driving traffic. I'm not even gonna read any of the comments. So it's like, what are you doing this for? Like, there's no way you can be happy. Like, you cannot be happy just doing this. And I feel like if you honestly just try to find God, worked on yourself, went to therapy, you would feel so much better than what these like little cockroaches and parasites try to tell you. Honestly, that's like my honest feedback. Okay.
Now, I'm still confused by what she means when she says the point of like, when all these like manosphere Andrew Tate guys tell you to jump, you jump, and she used that analogy of that movie that Harry Styles is in. I don't really know what she was trying to get at. Is she trying to say that the only reason why people are upset with her or are criticizing her online is because they heard some like manosphere guy say something and then they're repeating it? Is that what she's saying? Is that what she's trying to say? Like, you, or and then she made that point before at the beginning that, if you're not gonna be there, you like at least be there for your, at least be a man for your wives. Like, huh? Because you guys want to be the breadwinner, you want to be this, your wife has to be that. So I guess she's trying to say, hey, if you want to be the breadwinner and whatever, you have to let the woman say. I don't know. I don't really understand what she's saying. The good point that she made though towards the end was what I made earlier in the previous episode of the pod. I did say the previous episode of the pod that although a lot of people disagreed with me in the comments and in the chat, I did say previously that I think a lot of the reason why she's getting the stick that she's getting is, number one, the tone of her voice. She sounds, you know, she's got a very annoying, I think it's all about delivery, unfortunately, these days. I think her tone of her voice is very grating and annoying. She has a very weird, it's almost like a very red scare. It's almost like a very red scare girl type of a thing going on with her voice. I'm not too sure what the fuck that is, right? She has a very annoying way of speaking. I think she looks a lot older than what she's acting like. She's doing this whole like young Gen Z kind of like aloof type of thing, but she's not that young. She's like in her 30s and shit. So I think that comes across a bit weird. And then I generally think she's not funny. Like, that's the problem. I don't think it's coming across that she's trying to be funny, because she made a good point at the end, towards the end, where she said, oh, Akaash can go on stage and he can make all these jokes about me at my expense, but then the moment I do it on my social media, everyone gets up in arms. That's actually a really good point. She actually made a good point, because I think a lot of the stuff that she's saying, she's trying to be funny, it's just not coming across funny. She's got a bit of a mean cadence, a little bit of a mean undertone, a little bit of a mean, you know, sprinkling of the salt on there on top. It doesn't sound like she's being jokey. So I think that's her main problem. Her delivery, the way she looks, the fact that she's older than what she sounds, her voice, and the fact that she's not being funny. I think that might be the main point. It's not very funny. She's just coming across like a bit of a bitch. She's coming across like an absolute nightmare, you know? That's her main issue. But I don't understand all this whole like, oh, the manners fit, like what? But again, I think this is a common thing nowadays. I think people purposely misunderstand why people don't like them. But then it creates like a never-ending cycle. People then criticize what you're doing. You then try and act like you're not bothered. Also, keep repeating that then what they're saying doesn't mean anything to you, and they don't understand, and they try and like dismiss what they're saying as hate. They then want to get through to you as clearly as possible, but then you refuse to listen. It just creates a never. But I guess maybe she kind of wants that. But then I also think she's maybe overestimating this like attention thing. I think nowadays on social, you have to be you have to have a little bit of likability about you. You can't be all the way unlikable. And the problem that she's gonna face, I think anyway, she doesn't seem like what people would deem to be a girl's girl. Because, you know, she was talking openly about wanting to fuck her best friend's man and talking about how much she likes him and fantasizing about what his dick looks like and how thick it is and all this shit. I don't think that's a girl's girl thing. Personally, I wouldn't think girls would be that comfortable with a friend like this, right? That's talking openly about wanting to fuck your boyfriend or husband. So she's not a girl's girl. And obviously the lads aren't fans of her, you know? So I think she's like, not being liked by the men and the women is an issue. You have to have at least one of the genders like you, you know? You have to have at least one gender has to like you across the way for you to kind of survive. You can't just have everyone hate you across the board, especially as a new person. Like, she's just coming out of the gate like unlikable. Like, you have to have at least some, you know what I mean? You have to have at least a good quality. Like, if she came into the game being the girl that everyone likes because she dresses well, or because she's really good at home decor, or because she has really interesting opinions about marriage within the Muslim Indian culture, I don't know, something on that kind of line, that's cool. But she came out of the gate being annoying. She came out of the gate being a nightmare. She came out of the gate being a bitch. I think she's overestimating this attention thing. I think quite quickly people are gonna, you know, stop paying attention to you because you get on their nerves, and they're gonna go out of their way to try and make sure that, you know, they don't want to listen to you anymore, you know? So I think she's kind of overcooking this whole thing. But hey man, if Jasleen thinks that's the right way to go about doing things, then I guess that's the right way about doing things. There's another post here where she talks about, was it cancellation? What's this about?
If you did,
here we go.
No, we had our first cancellation.
How do we feel about it?
I feel like it was overdue.
How many comments have they deleted? Mad comments got deleted, isn't it? Holy shit. Is there only 2 comments? No way can there be 2 comments. There's only 2 comments and they've all been 87 likes. Wow. 256 likes, by the way. That tells you everything, right? I don't know what this means, by the way. This GIF. I don't know what this GIF means of the cars on a motor. I don't really get that. I don't really understand what this means. But yeah, the lack of comments is interesting. It means they probably deleted a bunch.
To be honest,
I think the worst part of the cancellation is when they said we have bad taste.
Yeah, that was the worst part because I worked so hard to like find my husband's credit card every time I go shopping, and I try to make sure the Miu Miu logo's prominent. I at least have like an elevated basic bitch taste.
You did post a video the other day saying like Chanel earrings are out and everything that I wear is fucking out. So I personally think you have bad taste.
I was like, why don't you at me?
Everything in my closet, she literally listed out in that video. You're a certified hater.
Okay, I stand by the Van Cleef and the Chanel logo earrings, but like the glittery ones.
Yeah, I was gonna wear those for my birthday dinner tomorrow. I think
you have those exact ones? Oh my god. What? If you didn't know, we had our first cancel.
Yeah, man. I think we've all had known boys that have had sisters like this. Like, it's just annoying, isn't it? Like, she's just annoying. It's not even her fault. I just don't think it's her fault. I just think that's her personality. She's just an absolute nightmare. You know, I think we've all known a fair share of our friends who've had sisters like this, you know? Or we've all known a friend, you know? Like, it is what it is. She's just kind of annoying, but I really do think she's overestimating this hate thing, you know, and kind of, you know, using it to kind of fuel this podcast stuff that she's doing at the moment, because I don't know, man. I don't know if that's the way to go about doing things. I guess let's just check out one more. Get ready with me to go Darbar Sahib. Let's see what this is about.
Good morning. Get ready with us to go to Darbar Sahib. It is the holiest Sikh temple in Amritsar. I have been a few times before. Akaash has never been. I just want to do like light makeup because it's not really about my makeup, but more just like about my spirituality and seeing this really divine place. Okay, so growing up, we grew up.
Basically, the worst people you know are super spiritual, by the way. No, she's kind of, I guess she's religious or spiritual, but she has that type of personality. I find that really interesting, to be fair. She has the kind of personality where she's like embarrassing her husband online. She's basically creating a very, I guess, unlikable version. She's creating a very unlikable narrative about herself out there. She's making people write a lot of op-eds and comments about how much they dislike her and video clips and shit. I find that interesting.
Punjabi Sikh, obviously, but my mom always like really made the effort to take us to Gurdwara every Sunday and Sikh camp every summer. And I wouldn't say I was like the most like cooperative child, but now looking back, I'm so grateful that she invested these teachings in us, because my spirituality has taught me so much about just how to like operate in this world, and like how giving back is like the most important and like rewarding thing that you can ever do.
Everyone that criticizes me is a cockroach, but yeah, all right, cool.
For me, like my mom is like my spiritual anchor. Like if I ever feel like lost in the world, like I need to like just talk to her and like realign and refocus on like what my values are. I think my mom also like went through a lot of trauma in her life, so for her it was like almost like if she didn't have spirituality, like she wouldn't be here. And like she said that to me because it's like really like kept her sane. I think like the one difference though between me and my mom is like spirituality has been such a life raft for her, but I feel like it's really been her answer to everything, versus like with me and like with my anxiety and OCD, like I feel like meditation and spirituality is such a good complement and adjunct, but it doesn't like replace the work of like therapy and like medication and like all that.
I don't know, man. I've long proposed the idea, and I think I've sometimes been laughed out of my social groups for this. I really have been laughed out of my social groups and mocked, because whenever people bring up the topic of like, oh yeah, what's your type? I would always say things like, I don't really have one. I'm mostly a personality guy. Like I'm really big on like getting along with somebody, on somebody having, you know, generally the kind of things you're kind of looking for in terms of a personality, in terms of maybe being honest, honorable, stand up, loyal, dependable, trustworthy, whatever that thing is, right? But just kind of getting along and not being annoying. It's that common, like, what was that fucking phrase that was uttered in startup world when it comes to employing people? It's like, don't be a dickhead, right? I think it's a Google thing, right? But don't be a dick. And I think that's really important. I think people maybe put too much nowadays anyway. I think maybe because a lot of people, maybe because of social media as well, maybe that's a problem. Maybe because of social media, you kind of wanna, because everyone's obsessed with present themselves a certain way online, there's this need, it feels like, to also present a certain version of your relationship online too, or just represent relationship online in general. And if that's the case, you're going to want a girl that's somewhat aesthetically pleasing if you're going to have her on social. And maybe the same goes for the other gender, same genders, whatever. You're going to want whoever you're with to be hot because you're putting it all on social. So because your first thing is about how hot is this person, you then maybe put by the wayside, or maybe don't consider too much their personality and how they are as a person, you know, their values, their character, all this shit. You don't really consider it because you're mostly thinking about the looks. And maybe that's a problem that we're running into nowadays. Everyone's just concerned about, hey, I want to make sure when I post my person that we get the most likes, that I get a lot of praise, that I get a lot of fucking comments, engagement, because they look a certain way, as opposed to, hey, is this person gonna be a good mum? Is this person a good wife? Is this person a good partner to kind of, you know, run through life with? Is this person whatever? No one's really, you don't really hear people talking about that. It's mostly to attraction. Oh, 6 foot this. Does she have boobs? Does she have a bum? There's like, it's just like, this is what happens though when you look for those type of things. You know, you look for those type of things and you end up with somebody that, you know, is probably going to drive you crazy until you're old and gray, you know, not in a good way too, just in a purely annoying way. And I'm just thankful I've never been in that position. I'm just thankful that I've never ever been in that position. But big up, you know, Akaash Singh, big up Jasleen Singh. Hopefully they work it out. Hopefully they work it out. Continuing on, there was this little back and forth that was going on between, I think she's an author called Joyce Carol Oates. I don't really know much about her, not read many of her books, so please forgive me if you know who she is. But this lady, this woman decided for whatever reason to just lay into Elon last week, right? And it was just a non-stop tirade, non-stop, very intellectual, very considered, very well poised, and very to the point, just absolute ripping of Elon Musk, absolutely ripping him. And the thing that fascinated me about what she ripped him about was that it's something that I've kind of been considering myself, something that I've took action on, kind of changing the way I present myself online. But it also maybe answers some questions for me in terms of when it comes to tech and all that stuff and where we're at the moment, and the lack of je ne sais quoi, X factor, the lack of star power, the lack of just real, you know, whatever we used to see back in there when it comes to tech. So in case you don't know, Elon Musk was going back and forth with somebody online. I forgot what he was doing. He was going back and forth with somebody, and then who's he going back and forth with? I forgot who he was going back for. He's going back for somebody. And then Joyce Carol Oates decided randomly to tweet something Elon Musk had said, and somebody quoted and said, hello, it was real murder. And she quoted this, and she just made an observation. This lady just made a general observation of Elon, which I thought was fascinating. Here's what this Joyce Carol Oates said. Just curious that such a wealthy man never posts anything that indicates that he enjoys or is even aware of what virtually everyone appreciates. Scenes from nature, pet dog or cat, praise for a movie, music, a book, but doubt that he reads, pride in a friend's or relative's accomplishments, condolences for somebody who has died, pleasure in sports, acclaim for a favorite team, references to history. In fact, he seems totally uneducated, uncultured. The poorest persons on Twitter may have access to more beauty and meaning in life than the most quote-unquote wealthy person in the world. This is just a general observation of Elon this woman just threw out there, which was very on point, right? Because it also made me think automatically, like, you know what? As much as a fan of Elon as I am when it comes to the tech side of things, it's not lost on me the lack of like pizzazz that his stuff doesn't have, like Tesla. There's not really a, you know, I know people get in Teslas and they're kind of taken aback by the acceleration and shit, but there's not a lot of like pizzazz about Tesla. It's not very like, it doesn't surprise and awe you, like, I don't know, you know, like even the tech stuff when it comes to the, you know, whatever, when it comes even to SpaceX stuff, when it comes to everything he creates, there's not really that kind of like sheen, that quality. And I wonder if a lot of that has to do with what this lady's talking about. He seems a little bit robotic in the way that he kind of does stuff. Like, just, I wouldn't say it's tech paint by numbers, but it's very robotic in what it's done. And I wonder because the other day actually I was watching the original presentation of the iPhone. Remember the first one that originally dropped? I was watching that presentation, and it was pretty startling just how impressive that presentation was that fucking Steve Jobs did, RIP to the great one, when he kind of spoke about the original iPhone, and he broke down, you know, how they got to it, and the fact that they were trying to look at what was available on the market, and they hated the plastic keyboards. They made the keyboard they put the keyboard on the screen. They didn't like stylist, and the idea about, yeah, your finger's the best stylist. It's a phone, it's a text and something else all in one. You know, everything about that presentation was just amazing. Then I think I watched the presentation of the MacBook Air. I don't know if you guys remember it, but when the MacBook Air originally launched, Steve Jobs pulled it out of one of those yellow envelopes. Like an amazing presentation, just special. Even nowadays, even since Steve was passing, a lot of Apple products, even iPhone to this day, still have that bit of magic about them, right? And I wonder if a lot of it is to do with the fact that Apple is quite centered. It's quite a cultural company. You know, there are references to music, to movies, to TV series, to art, to writing in general. And you don't necessarily get that with Elon. There's not a lot of like, and then the funny thing is that this week, I think, or the past week, Elon has been on Twitter basically commenting on all the movies he likes, like replying to random posts, because I think this kind of hit him at the heart, because it's true. He doesn't necessarily present himself as a person of culture, you know, which you would assume would influence his tech and how he designs stuff, which also makes me think that's probably why the stuff that he designs is so sterile looking. You think of the Cybertruck, you know, it's like, yeah, it kind of looks unconventional, but would you say the Cybertruck looks beautiful? Would you say it, you know, is a wow thing? Does it awe you? Does it kind of inspire you? Not really, you know, it just looks the way it looks. It looks a bit odd, but it's not necessarily something that has a lot of, like, you know, star power or whatever, je ne sais quoi about it. And I think some of it has to do with Elon's inability to maybe get across that he's into anything culturally art, you know, art-based, entertainment-based and shit. But then on the backside of stuff, on the opposite, on the flip side of things, this also made me think about myself. And it made me think about this thing that I was wrestling with for a long fucking time. And that was this, what would you call it? That was what I would call, I guess, cultural fucking fellatio or something. I don't know, whatever, something culturally or artistically jacking yourself on social. And I think most of it had to do with the amount of stuff I used to post about the things that I would do in terms of, you know, just my daily life, whether it comes to the amount of books I was reading, the book that I was reading, an interesting quote I found in the book, a movie I was watching, something that I was writing, a magazine that I had, a cool place that I traveled to, a club that I fucking attended, a gig that I went to, all these things that, you know, the training I was doing in terms of running, going to the gym and shit. I would kind of purposely put out this certain side of myself on social to kind of present myself in a way, right? I wanted people to think that I'm cool, I want people to think that I'm interesting, people that I'm doing a lot of really cool and challenging kind of things in general, and to sort of like hold me in a certain esteem. But then after a period of time, I kind of got a little bit put off by it, because it felt like I was kind of, it felt like I was performing. I was being a performing monkey, for lack of a better term. I was doing it not personally to do it for myself. I was doing it mostly to impress people on social media. So I stopped posting that sort of stuff. I started doing it on my own. But then I also wondered to myself, like, is that the purpose of social though? If you go back to the original genesis of what Instagram was, that was what it was all about, right? Posting a random picture of yourself walking in the park, posting a picture of yourself drinking a coffee at some cool coffee shop, and they put a little design on the top of it, taking a picture of your fucking overpriced avocado and toast, taking a random picture of yourself drinking a beer in a bar, traveling somewhere, the back of an airplane that you're just about to board, you know, that was what social media is around. So it's kind of, you know, I'm kind of going against what it was about, but I also thought at some point, because there's so much of myself out there, I thought to myself, you know what, I want to keep these things that I like to do to myself, and not always have to share them with quote unquote the world. For like, again, I'm not that important, you get what I mean? I'm just kind of talking in generalities. But then it's also made me think that if you don't post these things, people then start to think that you're not very culturally curious or interesting. You don't really have much going about you. So it's a really strange place to be, because she's got a point, right? Elon doesn't seem like somebody that seems like he has a culturally rich life, right? But then again, he could be enjoying a lot of these things privately at home, video games included, and not posting about them too much on social. But that doesn't mean it's almost like that saying, right? If a tree falls and you're not there to see the tree, did the tree fall? And I guess that's what social media is about. Social media is about always reminding people what you're into, what you're about, what you do, in an effort to present yourself a certain way, or just sharing it anyway in general. I don't know. I'm a bit stuck in that position. I don't know if it's like okay. I don't know if it's like okay. I don't know if it's like a thing that you should do because that's what social media is about. You shouldn't maybe overthink it, and yes, you should share the things that you're into just for the sake of sharing it, or if you should try to keep some of that stuff to yourself, so there are certain things that you enjoy without the explicit approval of other people, the audience saying, oh yeah, I like that, let me give you a heart, let me make you a comment, let me send you a DM. I mean, it doesn't always have to be that way. You can just enjoy something for your pleasure. And I think that's a place that I probably would love to get to in the end. I think my ultimate goal, I think people are all different, but I think my ultimate goal for the amount of time that I spend on social, the amount of time I've been online, I think my ultimate goal at the end is to create a lifestyle that doesn't depend on being on the internet. At the end of it, when it's all said and done, it's not going to happen anytime soon, but when it's all said and done, I think my ultimate goal is to have a life where I don't have to be online. I think that is a real sign of like wealth. That's a real sign of richness. That's a real sign of living life on your own terms, where you don't have to be online, you know. Now I kind of have to be, but if you don't have to be, that kind of shows that, you know, you're living life the right way, and there doesn't need to be any account, any documentation of anything I'm doing. I'd kind of like to be I forgot who the guy was in the movies, but I'd love to live a life where you pop up in random places and people bump into you in real life, but you're just there because you want to be there. You know, people bump into you because they know who you are and they maybe would want to chat, but it's not necessarily that you're documenting it. You're not recording a stream, you're not recording a vlog, you're just living your life. You're living a rich life. You're traveling to cool places, you're going to cool events, you're seeing interesting things, you're watching interesting stuff, you're around interesting people, you're taking, I mean, you're exploring, you're doing what you're doing, but you're not necessarily documenting it and sharing it with the world. That is something that I think is not necessary across the board. And I think there's too much importance put into that nowadays, of like, hey, you have to share this, you have to be, it's like, do you though? Do you though? I don't think you do. So as much as I agree with what she said about Elon and the ripping she gave him, I also think on the flip side of things, you don't always have to share the things that you're into to be into them. And because you're not sharing them doesn't mean you're not into them. That's what I would say. But again, what do I know? She didn't stop there, by the way. She kept continuing going into fucking Elon. There's a couple more of her tweets against Elon and his lack of cultural curiosity. What she say here? She says in response to somebody else, Joyce says, truly it was out of curiosity, her ripping into Elon. Why a person with unlimited resources exhibits so little appreciation or even awareness for things that most people value as giving meaning to life. Just minimally well-to-do people donate to charities, local museums, libraries and the like. They support Commonwealth, and unlike the very wealthy people, pay high income taxes. But I'm just wondering as well, I wonder if that's actually that shouldn't be a surprise though. Elon's one of the richest people in the world. Maybe if you're one of the richest people in the world, you don't really have a time to go to a private view. You don't have time to watch the new fucking Timothée Chalamet movie or the new Leonardo DiCaprio movie, you know? You don't have time to fucking, you know, congratulate your friend for the birth of their child on social, because you're making more money than everybody's ever made in the history of the world, you know? Maybe that's one of the fucking things you have to kind of give up. You're not really tapped. You're not really the most. I bet you, most likely, if you spoke to somebody that was on the level of wealth that Elon was, or Elon is, which is like what, the 3-digit billions, I'd imagine a lot of those people probably don't know what's going on online right now. They're not the most plugged in. They don't really have a handle on the current Blueface controversy, on the current issues happening with Cuffham and how he dropped from the fucking stage at the Playboy Carti thing, or something going on with Kendrick and Drake. I bet you. I think it's just one of those things you have to kind of give up if you're going to be the richest person in the world. You kind of have to focus on other things, you know? Your focus isn't going to be on art and culture. But I think, unfortunately, if you're going to make products, you kind of have to be a little bit, sensitive to that sort of stuff, because you're going to give those products to the world, and the world is, you know, what this person's talking about. The next thing she says, it is particularly strange to argue against empathy, since quote unquote empathy is generated by a normal human brain registering a mirror likeness to another person, an involuntary instinctive recognition that the other person is in an essential way identical with you. Notoriously, psychopaths don't register this kinship and can even murder blood relatives without emotion. Hardly an ideal for humankind. Good point. She keeps ripping into Elon, by the way. She absolutely destroyed him. And he spent the entire week, bless him, right? He got called out for not being interested in movies, and he spent the entire week basically responding and replying to accounts talking about movies he likes. So this person said, Joyce Carol Oates, 87, got Elon Musk so good saying he doesn't have capacity to enjoy life, so he proved her point by spending the day posting about movies he saw decades ago. So here's Elon replying to this really great account on Twitter called The Synesthetic. They said Gary Oldman as Jean Basquiat, Emmanuel Zorg in The Fifth Element is pure chaos, and Elon replied in the comments, Fifth Element has great style, right? He's overly compensating, trying to prove that he is actually normal and he is a regular human and does have interest, by telling people that he's into fucking movies and shit. Is fucking bizarre and hilarious. That same account posts about the movie Man on Fire. He says Man on Fire is great. That account posts about Edge of Tomorrow. He says great movie. So he was overly compensating and trying to prove to everybody that he is in fact not a robot and a cyborg, but instead a regular human who has regular emotions also, which I thought was fucking absolutely hilarious. But again, I don't know. I'm still on the fence. I don't know if it's necessary to keep posting the stuff that you're into online to prove that you're interesting, or to prove that you live a culturally rich life. I don't know if it's also important to share all the time the things that you're up to just for the sake of sharing them. But I do remember a time in my life where I got a lot of pleasure out of, I guess, stunting on people about the amount of stuff I did in the day. I think I really enjoyed that. I'm not gonna lie, I really did used to enjoy posting on social, especially Instagram stories, the amount of stuff I was doing in 24 hours, you know, and then kind of time stamping what time I woke up in the next morning. Like, hey, I got this done up until this time. I'll still manage to get up at 5 to do my fucking 5k. Then I got back and did this. You know what I mean? I loved showing off that sort of stuff to kind of prove to people that, hey, you know, for the people that I guess maybe my audience at that time was the people that used to say shit like, oh, I don't have enough time to do X, Y, and Z. That whole thing used to really grind my gears, because there's always enough time. We just, you know, have to make it a priority. And I guess I would try to show that by kind of quote unquote proving that you can balance all those things and do all those things at once, whilst also pursuing your kind of hobbies on the side and your quote unquote side hustles, by prioritizing certain things, having, you know, discipline, you know, willpower, all this sort of nonsense. I don't know, but I don't necessarily think it's necessary now. Like nowadays, I don't post any of that shit. I've stopped posting on Twitter. I've stopped posting on Instagram stories. I don't post jack shit, but I do a lot during the day for the most part. But I don't post them, you know. But then but I don't know. It depends. But in a weird way too, it also kind of motivates you to do stuff as well. I'm not gonna lie. If you are posting that stuff online, it does kind of, as much as you're trying to show off to others, you're also motivating yourself to carry on, you know, going down that route. And without that audience, maybe, right? Without the audience of people who are liking your Instagram stories for the fact that you are posting about your runs at 5 in the morning with a timestamp, you lose the motivation to get up in the morning to run. But then I wonder if you should be doing that. You should be maybe running for your own, you know? I don't know. I'm all over the shop. I'm just fucking waffling. I'm just trying to make shit up as I go along. I don't know what I'm talking about, and I hope you guys know what you're talking about. I also wanted to talk about slightly about this really cool collab and the addition of Fakemink as a model. So this is courtesy of Supreme. They're talking about their Supreme and True Religion collaboration capsule collection, which I think is fucking right on the money, especially when you think about where fashion is at the moment, and the kind of resurgence of stuff like Ed Hardy, the resurgence of stuff like Evisu, the resurgence of stuff like, you know, I don't know what I can think of, but you know, all the brands that all the kids are wearing nowadays. True Religion feels like a apropos brand for Supreme to be collaborating with. Don't get me wrong, it's not. It probably won't last the longest. It probably is not the most. It won't have a lot of shelf. It won't have a lot of shelf life, right? It's not gonna. It's a very in the moment collaboration. Like in 10 years, this is probably not gonna age the greatest. But I think for nowadays, considering again, I think there's a resurgence even with G-Star. I see a lot of people wearing fucking G-Star jeans nowadays. There's a real big kind of learn back on that. This seems like a perfect collaboration. And the one thing I love the most about this collab personally is the addition of Fakemink as a model. I'm not gonna lie. Fakemink, up and coming artist who's kind of, you know, doing great things out there. He went on a big UK tour, he sold out everywhere. He went on a North American tour, sold out everywhere. He's getting cosigns from all the right people and shit. He had a bit of an issue when he started talking about, you know, how he conducts himself in the scene and the fact that he's not the biggest fan of the LGBTQ plus community. I think he was very forthright in making sure people knew that he wasn't GAY, and he kind of spoke about it from a religious point of view or something like it, which was a bit weird because you'd imagine a lot of his fans would probably fall somewhere on that rainbow, fall somewhere on that flag, would probably identify a lot with that. So I thought that was a bit of a bad move. But one thing I did realize watching the clips of him kind of trying to explain why he's not gay and shit and try his best to not sound homophobic was the fact that he came across a little bit slow. And I wonder if that's what the key to success. He did come across a little bit slow, a little bit, you know, dare I say tapped. I'm not gonna lie. He did seem a little bit tapped. And I wonder if that's the reason why he makes such good music. He doesn't seem like he's all there. Not in a bad way. He kind of seems like he probably didn't do that well in school, if that makes any sense. Like in conventional education, he definitely doesn't sound like he's got all the stuff. So I think that made people not take what he said about LGBTQ people that seriously. They're like, you know what, he's not really all the way there. So I think I'm okay with it, you know, because I don't think he came across as any sort of malice. I just think he went to make sure people, because I think he's, you know, I think he likes bitches essentially, right? He likes girls, he wants groupies, he wants PUSSY. So I think he was making it very clear to everybody out there that he doesn't swing the other way. You know, he wanted to make it sure that anybody that comes in his green room, you know, that has a vagina, he wanted to make that very, very clear. And I think that's what he was trying to say, as opposed to like, I don't like gay people, because, you know, it seems like he's like an unofficial homer, which is Frank Ocean's jewelry line ambassador anyway. So that would be weird if that was the case. But regardless, he's up and coming, he's doing great bits. And I think Supreme getting him to be the model for the lookbook is fantastic. Like, it's fantastic. And again, it goes to show just how purposeful, intentful they are to make sure that they're on the cutting edge and always basically speaking to the youth. That's something you have to give these guys credit for. I think it's very easy because they probably have, even the employees work in the office, they're probably all old, I'd imagine. I don't know if this is true, but I'd imagine everyone that works in the head office of Supreme is probably over the age of 30 or 35 even. But I like that they are very aware that Supreme, although it's, you know, maybe worn by a lot of older people, a lot of older people probably would say that they are responsible for Supreme being what it is right now. They are always trying to speak to the youth. So when the brand was started, they were speaking to the youth at that time. When the brand became super popular, they were still speaking to the youth at that time. I like that they always do that. They don't try to appease the older people. They always try to speak to the youth and make sure that the brand is fresh that way. And I think one way you do so is by having the most popping artists nowadays, you know, someone like a Fakemink, to kind of front this campaign. It's a really smart, clever way to make sure people know that you're tapped in. So this is a really good idea. I like it, I'm not gonna lie. And I like the stance as well. The little stance that he's got going on there is fucking hilarious. It kind of reminds of a Zach Fox kind of dance. So this is Fakemink wearing some Supreme True Religion capsule collaboration collection, whatever. Obviously True Religion, the standout thing for me always is the contrast stitching. I think that True Religion contrast stitching just hits so hard. I don't know what it is about it. Maybe it's the hood boy in me, right? Because I remember back in the day when guys and ends were wearing this sort of shit, it just stood out a mile away. The fucking contrast stitching down the seams, behind on the back pockets, everywhere. That's the thing that sold it for me when it comes to True Religion. I love a bit of contrast stitching. I fucking love it. And it also comes with that bomber jacket comes with a bit of matching pants. I love the massive big silver buttons there as well. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not the biggest fan. Maybe this is something, maybe this is just me being very conscious of like baby fat and like stuff like that, but I'm not the biggest fan of like bomber jackets with fur hoods and shit. I'm not gonna lie, There's something about them, especially on guys. I don't like it. Like, you know how Alpha Industries have like a bomber jacket with a fur hood? I think fur hoods like this should be reserved for parkas. I don't think you should ever have a bomber jacket as a fur hood. If you have a fur hood, it should always be for a jacket that goes past your waistline. It should never be for a jacket that's got an elasticated waist that comes up above. I mean, it just doesn't look right. It looks a bit strange, but hey, I might be in the minority there. That bomber jacket has, you know, again, touching with the youth, because the youth like brands, they like big logos. So they've got this, they've got there's the True Religion horseshoe at the back, and then they've got the Supreme also there. By the way, they got two logos. This is a bit overkill. They've got a logo on the outside, Supreme and True Religion, which I'm guessing is some sort of like hang tight like label that's on the outside, which is a nice little touch. And they've also got the contrasting white stitching on the back with the Supreme and the True Religion. So double logos everywhere. Double logos fucking everywhere. But yeah, that's a fucking great collection, man. This looks fucking good, the bomber jacket. Very, very fucking cool. It also comes in a camo green style as well. It also comes in a camo green. None of the guys are wearing belts. I find that interesting as well. The good thing about that bomber jacket though is the fur hood is detachable. Based on the snap buttons I see here, the fur hood is detachable. So for me, who I'm very conscious of making sure that I don't look like a fucking baddie wearing a fucking, because when I don't know, if it was me and I was wearing that kind of bomber jacket, it would be very hard for me not to feel like Ice Spice, you know? It'd be very hard for me not to feel like Tyler. You're gonna feel like a baddie wearing that. I don't know why. I don't think men should be baddies. For me personally, I think we should leave the baddies for the girls. But I think if you wear a bomber jacket like that, it's very hard not for you to kind of like, you know, swing your fucking batty around. I don't know. Maybe I'm looking too much into it. It also comes in a blue indigo denim color as well. All the pockets have the True Religion horseshoe logo on them as well, which is kind of cool. And there's also a denim jacket, a trucker jacket type of thing, which is more in this like kind of leather. I don't know if is that leather? I'm not sure if that's a leather. Whatever that material is, it's fucking hard, man. I'm not sure if that's leather though. Whatever that material is, it looks fucking cool. It comes in brown. The Tims on. Am I the only person that thinks Tims are kind of overrated? Maybe because I'm from the UK. Aren't Tims the most overrated footwear brand ever? I know every kid is wearing them now with baggy jeans and shit, but I think Tims are way overrated. They don't look that great. Like Tims, I think Tims have this issue where, unlike Dr. Martens, I think Tims only look good on certain people. Where I think like Dr. Martens across the board, if you wear a pair of Dr. Martens boots, it's impossible not to make them look bad. A pair of 1490s or 1460s, sorry, tied up with some jeans on top. It's impossible to make a pair of Dr. Martens look bad. Whether they're the 1490s or the 1940, whether the low ones or the high ones, it's very hard not to make them look bad. Where I feel like I've seen a ton of people in bad Timberland fits. So many people online I've seen wear Timberlands badly, from tying them too tightly, wearing them with the wrong thing, tucking their jeans in behind them, tucking their tongue on top. I don't know. I've seen people wear Tims horrible, but I've not seen a single person wear a Dr. Martens bad. Whether they're wearing them with fishnets, with denim cut-off shorts, with you know, skinny jeans, with baggy jeans. I don't know. I just feel like Tims look kind of shit. Maybe it's just me personally, but I don't really rate Tims. I'm so glad I'd never jump on the Tims thing. I never got on that hype. Same when it comes to the baggy jeans. I never participated in that shit. It's more for the kids anyway, but I think the Tims hype is definitely overcooked. That jacket also comes in a blue, navy blue type of thing as well. It looks kind of hard. I'm not gonna lie. This combo is actually this combo is really good looking. I'm not gonna lie. I really like this combo. This combo with the camo pants, and then this kind of, again, I don't know if it's leather, whatever that style is, whatever it is, I really do like the look of that. There's also a flannel. The flannel's kind of hard. This one's a purple one. Oof, the flannel is really, the flannel is maybe the hardest thing I've seen. Not gonna lie, that flannel is disgusting. And then the logo on the back, it almost feels like it's like a badge, like another bit of fabric on top. That isn't too shabby. I'm not going to that. It's almost like a Western shirt, isn't it? The style of the shirt is almost like a Western shirt, but it's also been made in the style of a flannel. So it's a bit boxier. The material's a little bit more fluffy and shit. Looks like it might be lined. You wear it like a shirt. There's a polo that Fakemink is wearing here. There's a polo here as well. True Religion, Supreme. There he is, standing there with the jeans on and shit, having a good time. Polo, matching hat. A camo polo. There's also a sweatsuit. Oof, the sweatsuit is kind of hard as well. And there's a beanie too. This is definitely going to sell out. That beanie is definitely going to sell out. That's probably the cheapest thing in the collection. The sweatsuit is also kind of hard, I'm not going to lie. The pockets have rivets on the back. The pockets at the front also have rivets on the front. It's a zip up hoodie, rivets on the front, and also rivets on the back pocket. That's a nice little touch there for a sweatsuit. And there's also a nice little Supreme little label down the back, which I'm not mad at. Also comes in blue and pink. So yeah, really cool collection, man. This bomber jacket again without the hood is 1,000,000% better. That jacket, what's it called? The puffer jacket. The puffer jacket without the attached hood looks 10 times better with the hood. So yeah. Also comes in camo. Also comes in black. And the pants are maybe the standout. I'm not gonna lie. I didn't really clock that they were patchwork. The patchwork cargo pants might be the standout. I'm not gonna lie. These are fucking heavy. This is fucking heavy. That is really nice looking. Black contrast stitching all over the place and patches all over it. This is really fucking cool. Yeah, the cargo pants might be the hardest thing. Also comes in the indigo denim type of style, also in black. And then there's a leather trucker jacket. A leather trucker jacket as well. Oh, so it is made out of leather. That's going to be really expensive, I think. This thing is going to be really fucking expensive. That might be the most expensive thing in the collection. Maybe second only to the puffer. Also comes in black. There's also pants in black and brown. And then there's a quilted lined plaid flannel shirt. Oh, see, I told you, yeah. I knew it was going to be one of those quilted ones. Yeah, it is really good. You definitely try and get that in an oversized size so you can wear that as like an overshirt type of thing. It also comes in yellow. This type of yellowy print, but I think the purple's the standout one. Also comes in this black. Then there's also a matching polo, which is kind of hard as well. Number 94, Supreme's date of fucking founding and shit on the side. True iconography and little design there with somebody holding a guitar. Kind of hard as well. And the Supreme logo on the back. I do like how they have these two logos though, I'm not gonna lie. They have this massive badge on the back of the neck and they also have the hang tag underneath the neck as well, which is a really nice little touch there. And there's also a zip up hoodie, as I told you before, that comes in a array of colors actually. Jesus Christ, the hoodie comes in what? Pink, black, camo, and that blue and that yellow. Shit. So yeah, full sets available too for the sweatsuit. Oh shit, the hat is nice. There's an ear flap hat. Oof. Now that is good as well. Might have to try and get this one. There's an ear flap hat. That ain't too shabby. I'm not mad at that in the slightest. It comes in the pink. Does it come in the camo? Oh no, it doesn't come in the camo. Damn, it only comes in the pink and the navy blue or the indigo denim. So that might be something to try and cop. Wait, it comes in the black too. So it comes in pink, black, and indigo denim. That is really nice. There's also a basic mesh back trucker hat, which is also kind of interesting. I've not seen a trucker hat like this. Usually the trucker hat mesh backs are usually 6-panel mesh, but on this one it's only 2-panel mesh. I've not seen a design before. Usually you've got the mesh on this side, but this is only that side there. Leather strap on the back as well. So yeah, a lot of cool shit, man. The beanie looks like, oh, a distressed beanie. I don't know if I've ever seen that. It looks kind of dirty, I'm not gonna lie. It looks like it's been stained, but the top of the beanie looks distressed. Looks like it's been sun bleached or something, right? Looks like that's what it's been. Some sort of sun bleaching at the top. That's a nice little detail there. Sun bleaching the top of the beanie. And there's also a massive label on the back. What's the label on the back say? That's the Supreme logo, True Religion, world famous. I guess that's is that like a sumo wrestler, a monk or something? I don't know who the hell's got the guitar, but that's a really cool little logo there. And it also comes in different colors. So yeah, this stuff is dropping I think tomorrow, if I'm not mistaken, right? Yeah, November 20th. Available in Asia, November 22nd. So check it out if you're that way inclined. Loads of cool shit coming out there from Supreme. Loads of cool shit coming out there from freaking Supreme. And then to end it, some good news for my rave heads, some good news for my club heads. Draaimolen Festival is happening next year. You know, Draaimolen had this really big push where they were trying to essentially get support and fucking signatures for their petition to ensure that the festival happened, because I think there was an issue happening with the venue, and there's some sort of development, you know, the standard thing that happens all the time in nightlife and in fucking dance music. A place gets popping, a club gets popping, and then all the fucking property developers come in and start fucking, you know, sticking their noses in and wanting to take over the space and shit. So that was happening, and obviously Draaimolen's future was in question, it was in doubt. They put out a really big petition. I signed it, a bunch of people signed it. They put out a video on social media talking about their future and how perilous it was. And luckily, it looks like that's all paid off, because Draaimolen, at least it's happening next year. This might be the last year, who knows? But at least it's happening next year. At least this year wasn't the last year. Now, I've said for the last, I think 3 years, I felt like, or maybe 2 years, I'll keep going to this festival, but I would definitely make an effort to go next year, because it seems like it might be the last year. It might be. Don't know so far, but it seems likely. And from what I've heard from people, this is one of the #1 premier festivals to go to during festival season. It happens a bit later in the year, usually happens around September, but it is usually the best one to go to. A lot of people have a good thing to say about it when it comes to the organization, when it comes to the production, when it comes to the bookings and shit. And I think a really good sign, maybe I'm mistaken, but I think a really good indication of a great festival is the lack of content you see from it. I think you don't really see a lot of people post too much from Draaimolen, whether it's vlogs and shit. And I think that's a good indication that they're really having a lot. When you obviously go and tag the fucking place on Instagram, you will see a lot of videos. But I think for the most part, people just tend to attend it and love it. And I think that's a really good, indication that the festival's sick. So let's actually read the article courtesy of Resident Advisor. It says Draaimolen Festival will happen in 2026. Hallelujah, hallelujah. The Dutch Festival's team shared the news today, November 19th, confirming that the Mob Complex will remain our home for the time being. The team said more information on 2026 dates and tickets will be made available tomorrow. Back in September, Draaimolen launched a petition to ensure its future. The festival organizers had faced uncertainty over whether or not the two-day festival would return to Mob Complex in 2026, and without another venue lined up, feared for the worst. As of this writing, the petition has over 26,000 signatures. The quote, "It means a lot to so many people expressing their belief in what we do." Draaimolen's statement reads, "However, without your support, we wouldn't have reached the moment, as it was a true wake-up call for politicians to reopen conversations and change directions." Founded in 2019, Draaimolen has taken place annually in September in the forest of Tilburg. The 2025 lineup featured the likes of Wata Irigasi, Powder, DJ Storm, and Blauan. Read Draaimolen's full statement and visit their site to see below. So let me actually check out their full statement. Big up Bloodclot Draaimolen. I'm fucking super happy for them, man. I can't wait to attend this festival myself. It says as follows: Draaimolen Festival will happen next year. The news still feels unreal. But we're beyond relieved, excited to share the Mob Complex will remain our home for the time being. We are super grateful for the love you have shown us. It means a lot to have so many people express their belief in what we do. Without your support, we would not have reached this moment, as it was a true wake-up call for politicians to reopen conversations and change directions. So thank you truly for everything. We're ready to pour tons of energy and love into Draaimolen Festival 2026. We will use this feeling of gratitude as one of the main catalysts. More news about dates and tickets will follow tomorrow. Love Team Draaimolen, photos, blah, 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 blah. So yeah, big up Draaimolen Festival. Love to fucking hear it. Cannot wait to check it out myself one day. Will definitely be attending for sure. Let me actually see if they got any after videos of what happened last year actually. Let's see. Draaimolen's still working on next year. So have they got any? Okay, they've got some videos. Let me actually see what I'll go on here. I want to see some of these clips, because this festival looks like a fucking vibe, mate. Me wanna go, me wanna go, me wanna go, me wanna go, me wanna go too. And it looks like a fucking vibe. Let's actually look at the one where the people are playing. Actually, let's go. Is it this one? Yeah, let's check this out. Tune. Such a fucking tune. Okay, let's see some other clips here. Yeah, Toya DeLazy and Scratch Clark turned the forest floor into a place of pure celebration. Aura drenched in bass, CCL and Yush have the Cine sound system down to science. It's about Tumba and Big Merc diving deep into the shed history. Is that, how do you say her name? Jasleen. Jasleen draws us in with her violin and voice, creating an intimate moment on the moon. Heavenly shit. When I hear DJs say they want to play live, that's what I imagine them should be doing, right? Playing some type of instrument, some type of vocals. But when people say they're playing live, they're just pressing buttons on fucking Ableton. I find that interesting, man. The live thing in dance music is such a gimmick, you know? It's such a lie. When I think of live, this is what I think of. You should be playing an instrument. You should be doing some sort of voice thing, you know? Something, you know? Maybe not singing, but something. Bass heavy currents, perfect chemistry for the booth from Nesca and someone called Dirty DMs. Such a great little DJ name, I'm not gonna lie. Someone's called Dirty DMs. Is that their name? That's a fucking great name. Big up Alice Vink. That's a really good DJ name, Dirty DMs. Big up Draaimolen, big up fucking Draaimolen, back and surviving. Love to fucking hear it. Next year they're gonna be still there, still here, still doing the damn thing. We love to hear it. Is there any other clip? Was it Mob Complex? Where's the fucking venue? I'll see some other bits. Big up Carista. Big up Carista.
Yeah, I get it. No.
We got Blood Clot Carista. Okay, Draaimolen. Is that Draaimolen Festival there? Maybe we see some more clips on here and I can quickly move on. Watch a couple more bits and pieces from people. 2024. Yeah, man, I need to go next year still. Yeah, big up Draaimolen, big up Draaimolen. Good to fucking hear. Draaimolen is here again. Another year, 2026. Great fucking news. Great fucking news. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, that has been the Akaash Singh Show episode number, what is it? 689? 968? 969? 969. 969. Thanks so much for tuning in to episode number 969 of the Akaash Singh Show. It's been a pleasure to have your company as per usual. If it's your first time tuning to the show, you know what to do. Smash the like button, hit subscribe, all that good shit would be much appreciated. For those of you watching the live stream, live, it will switch right over to the random show, which I'll be starting in about 5 to 10 minutes. So please jump over there if you're that way inclined regarding comedy, news, and all that malarkey and commentary. Make sure you jump over to the random show channel. We're going to be going over there for a few hours, so make sure you jump over there if you want to continue the fun. For those of you that are just here for the Daxon's English show, I appreciate you greatly. Make sure you like and subscribe. Make sure you leave me a 5-star review. All that fucking good shit will be much appreciated. And of course, information regarding myself can be found in the links down below, so make sure you check that out if you're that way regarded as well. For those of you listening to the audio side of the pod, you'll hear my tune today. It will be from the one and only Hatchie, from the album that just dropped recently called Licorice. Big up Hatchie. Album just dropped recently called Licorice. The album, it just released. Make sure you check it out. My song of the day from the album is going to be called Sage. Sage from the album Licorice by Hatchie is playing right now. Leave my voice for the audio side of the pod listeners, and for everybody else it's going to fade to black and you won't hear anything because of copyright restrictions. I apologize, but make sure you check out Hatchie, spelled Hatchie, and the song is called Sage, Sage. Check it out. That is Wayne Clyde. Everybody else, thank you, take care. It's been a pleasure, never a chore, and I'll see the rest of you again tomorrow. But for now, peace.